One of the things he told me when we were coming home, I said, when you talk to your friends about what happened to you, what are you going to say? And he said, Grandma, I'm just going to tell them the truth.
For Wyatt and his grandparents, honesty is their best policy.
That's been kind of our motto as we went along.
Heidi Pearson never thought in her wildest dreams she'd have to explain to her grandson what had happened that night in March.
Why my son made that choice, I don't know.
Pearson explains how the doctor said Wyatt would not make it through the night, but to their surprise, he triumphed.
I think it was such a horrible thing that happened that to see that he was doing good was really good for everybody.
Wyatt has regained his eyesight and now has a titanium plate that covers his entire right side of his brain. But his family says he's the same smiley little boy he was just a few months ago.
Exactly.
Since his release from what he calls the boring hospital, he's been staying active.
Play air hockey and pool in the basement.
And just being a regular kid.
And before this happened, I got a skateboard.
That was a big deal.
And I'm hoping to ride that again, too.
These past couple months of healing wouldn't have been made possible without the strength and support of everyone, says Pearson.
I was absolutely shocked when I saw the outpouring from the community.
Wyatt's neighborhood friends, who he grew up with, decided to work together to give back to their best friend. Last week, they ran a lemonade stand. In 2 days, the group raised $1,300. Wyatt is now attending therapy 3 times a week and is expected a full recovery in 1 year.
It was just a quick bam.
That's how 10-year-old Maren Kesselhan describes the feeling on Wednesday afternoon in the waters of Island Lake. Maren was being pulled on a paddleboard behind a boat driven by her father. While on the paddleboard, Maren decided to take a quick dip.
I just jumped in because I was hot.
Seconds later,
I felt movement in the water, and then I felt my whole foot in its mouth.
Maren, not knowing that she would have gashes on her foot and leg when she pulled it out.
I was screaming. I was so terrified.
She was taken to the ER at St. Mary's Essentia Hospital, where she had to be treated for 25 bites. Maren had to be sedated before receiving 9 stitches and repairing a tendon.
It was right up to about here, and then when I tugged, it slid down and it made these huge gash marks.
Maren's dad, Ryan, said at first they and others thought it could have been an otter that did the damage. Later to find out it was a fish, possibly a muskie.
The doctor's examination of the cuts, they were so clean, so many, all in the same direction. It had to be a big fish.
For now, Maren has to use crutches to get around. The only thing on her agenda is relaxing the rest of the summer until she's able to walk again.
It was a world that I did not know really existed.
Kelsey and Max Keener got married in 2012. The new chapter for the newlyweds started off picture perfect.
So we got pregnant pretty easily, all happy and, planning nurseries and all of that fun stuff.
But it all quickly took a turn.
So I contacted the doctor. They tried for a Doppler heartbeat and could not find it, but they said it was too early still. And so I was sent for an ultrasound, went by myself, and still not thinking anything was wrong.
Kelsey was 14 weeks pregnant at the time.
And that's when I found out at that point that the pregnancy had ended, and so I was not going to be having a baby.
Kelsey's doctor told her miscarriages happen often.
And so that's kind of what I went with, was just kind of walked out of there and said, okay, this is just something that happens. And so we tried again. At 12 weeks, I had the same symptoms as I did the first one, and I just knew it.
Kelsey had lost that baby, too.
After 2 losses, they sent me for further testing.
Kelsey's doctor recommended doing a round of fertility treatments. She lost her 3rd baby at 6 weeks.
Once again, it was kind of bad luck. Our 4th one was the first time that we got to see a heartbeat. So once again, we were told, you're in the clear, you're fine. And then at 9 weeks, it was confirmed once again that the baby had died.
Did you and your husband ever think that, maybe this isn't in the books for our lifetime?
Oh, yeah. We did, for sure.
The Keeners tried again. They reached a point where they could hear the heartbeat and 3 weeks later lost their 5th baby. They both decided to start looking for help outside of Duluth.
We did some regrouping, went down to the cities, was sent there for a second opinion. They found abnormal growth in my uterus that they said could be causing all of this. So we were super excited. because we found something to fix. So we had that surgery to have that removed and tried again, and it was what's called a chemical pregnancy. So I got pregnant, and then within the week I was no longer pregnant. So then we got pregnant again for the 7th time, and just like clockwork, I was no longer pregnant again. We were just so hopeful that this was the one.
Would you call yourself strong?
I would in some ways. I have found strength in myself that I did not know I had, but I am also much more aware of so many weaknesses, and I have developed so many more weaknesses because of what I have went through.
Feeling defeated, Kelsey started to do her own research and stumbled upon an online group for women who suffer reoccurring miscarriages.
Someone on there had said, hey, there's this doctor in Chicago that does treatments for people that can get pregnant, but lose pregnancies.
The couple started their treatment but ran into another difficulty.
In January of 2018, and we had what was called an ectopic pregnancy. So baby grew not in the right spot.
The couple lost their 8th pregnancy. However, they decided to move forward with their treatment. Kelsey would take over 30 pills and 3 shots a day. Every other week, she and her husband would make the long drive to Chicago, and then good news.
We got pregnant with our 9th pregnancy and got a positive pregnancy test in July 3rd of last year, and things just kept working.
Physically, things were going great for the Keeners, but emotionally, the feeling of uncertainty still weighed pretty heavy.
I mean, I went into every ultrasound scared to death that it was going to be the time that we found out that she wasn't alive.
She reflected on the trauma from her past pregnancies.
It's just so devastating. It's so isolating and lonely.
She remembered how at times Kelsey would often feel dismissed from friends, family, and doctors.
The things like, it's just bad luck. Well, you can just try again. Maybe you were too stressed out. You know, all of these things, they're just dismissing that person's grief.
She decided to take her pain and turn it into a compass.
I call them like funeral rules. If you wouldn't walk up to somebody at a funeral and say that to that person, don't say it to somebody who's had a miscarriage.
After multiple surgeries, over 5,000 pills, 700 injections, the Keener's storm finally turned into a rainbow.
This is Aslan. This is number 9.
Aslan Keener was born March 11th.
She is our entire world. When they set her on me and she was pink and she was screaming and she was just so alive, I actually took a full breath.
Weeks after she came home, just looking at her and being like, she's here. Like, she's actually here.
Right.
Like, it did not feel real.
I like to tell people that I would 100% do her entire pregnancy protocol. If I knew it was going to work and I knew it was going to be good again, I would do that portion. There was so much darkness. There was so many days where you wondered what you're supposed to do on this planet when you can't live with your children with you. And so now that we have her here, she's kind of our reason to keep going and take risks and find some joy in the world again.